interesting. How can you in enslave one's will? It says, let not my will be done, but thy will. One's human potential to rise above any condition, situation, circumstance. What will pull him or her down? Thinking irrational rather than rational. Even if you are around people who is so bent on staying down, yet you yourself is trying to lift yourself up. It is very challenging indeed, you know. It seems as though that the being down, to be introduced to that, or that which will bring you down, has been accepted. You know, and toxins can bring you down. Your attitude and your thinking, your environment can bring you down. So the mission is to promote the value of self-worth. It's in the degree. The worth is in the degree, but not in the value. How do one advance the process of one's natural ability to be, to free the dome, Excuse me, the human intellect, one's rational thinking. Maybe you look at it, irrational thought is that which is unrealistic patterns that can be annoying and disheartening. In some cases, is downright dangerous. Person who knows not and believes that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. Because this irrational thinking and these thoughts, because that means you're under stress. You may need a little relief. And therefore, if someone puts you under stress, then your thoughts and your thinking and your actions that will occur must be monitored. Must be policed. And if you're unable to get the medical attention that you need, you can be placed in order to keep the irrational thoughts which you are under stress or duress under control. The mental institutions and the prison institutions, they are there to monitor you and to protect the people of the society. But in the monolithic structure of the society, it protects the interests of those that has put people under such stress, financial or otherwise, that they become driven to participate in unhealthy activities. And not to mention the toxins and the illicit use of drugs or what have you. And even in the unhealthy lifestyles and even company that one keeps, because that which occupies the mind conditions the mind. That's just the nature of the mind, So one is just trying to, as one says, one has not begun to live till he moves from the narrow confines of his own concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. I'm paraphrasing it though, but human life, is to advance the process of happens to deal with freedom, That's why it says freedom, justice, and equality, it is incumbent upon one to, as a just act, and when it comes to that which has a mathematical equation of that which can equate to the advancing of this process when it comes to the development of the human intellect for the betterment of humanity, this potential, maybe it's not just the physical advancement of it is a higher idea from the physical action or bondage and restriction to the human intellect, development of the human intellect. I think that's the rational thing to do. And this has been equally given to all people, The challenge is that you can possibly, hold one back physically, but for the his human intellect, the higher idea of being mentally free, you just look at some of the people who may be in what they call prisons, They may be physically there, but held back, but the higher idea of the freedom of the intellect, man, they have risen above it, The challenging is the sincerity of it. The sincerity of it and the usage of it, the proper usage of that. Because if it does not align itself up with the physically, then there is a chemical imbalance. And there is structure within the those in that prison system. There is possibly less allurings or trappings. And then when you get out that hedge of protection is not there, and that structure is not there. Then the intentions of one's sincerity and commitment will be challenged when it comes to the higher idea of freeing one's dome, of human intelligence, of the intellect. And have the spirit of moving forward. We must have the spirit of moving forward. And this higher idea, this is the struggle, to be able to distinguish between the lower idea of freedom, justice, and equality, and the higher idea. The lower idea is the physical, and how we even have compared social comparisons in that way. The higher idea of freedom for the development of one's intellect, for the development of humanity. Yes. So, I always say that the struggle is common sense versus nonsense. And another brother said that, but I've learned that the struggle is progression versus regression. But another one is, for me, is the higher idea of freedom, justice, and equality, and the lower idea of freedom, justice, and equality. The process of freedom is for the human intellect and rational potential. You cannot enslave a man's will or potential. So, Imam Warmdeen, that's Imam Warmdeen Muhammad. So, the mission, as I always say, under Common Humanity mission, is to promote the value of self-worth. Yes. And worth is in the degree, but not in the value, But the process of developing the higher idea of the one's intellect for betterment of humanity is rational. There are those who believe in the ideal of America, or North America. There are those who believe in the idea, the ideal, but the creed has been decreed. But the content of the character. But what about the greed? The greed. There are higher forms of interactions abroad, across the globe, when it comes to leadership or government and community, who are helping to advance and promote the value of self-worth and the process of freedom. There are those who are not even seen or projected or heard from, that they could be about advancing the process of freedom in the human, for the human, for the human intellect, rational potential when it comes to rational thinking rather than irrational thoughts, and putting people in each other under stress, So the struggle is the higher idea of freedom rather than the lower idea, which is physical. But the potential to rise above, but it seems as though in the society that we have to be careful that those behind the scenes call the shots, and they use your potential to justify their attitude and monolithic behavior of the lower sense and the misuse of the intellect and one's intelligence. And therefore, you have risen above financially, but yet intellectually, you're still being controlled by others. They are physically restraining and restricting others. But the higher intellect, the higher ideas will always rise.